All right, for segment 1 today, we are going to start getting into the nitty-gritty, the meat. We're going to nibble that meat off the bones of Twilight 2000. What is important about a tactical combat war game? Probably the combat. So we're going to start looking at the combat today, and we're going to focus in this first video on actions, and then at the end, I'm going to sneak in social combat because I couldn't figure out anywhere else to put that one because it's out of place in the book and everywhere else. And then the second video, we're going to talk about terrain and movement. So by the time we're done today, we're going to know what you can do for actions and how to move around the map board. So let's get into it. Get that off the screen, present my book. Oop. Here we go. There's our wonderful book. Does look like a military manual from World War II, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
That's not what I want. Oh, it's real page 53. All right, combat and damage. Well, that's the name of the entire chapter, but what we're specifically going to be talking about today is movement, terrain, and actions. Actually, we're going to start with battle maps, but really this one's mostly going to be around the actions you have, a combat round, and so forth. So, but if there's one complaint I have about this book, I didn't notice it until I started going through it. I really feel that some things are kind of out of place. There may be a reason why they feel bad, and maybe as I read it, we'll find out. I did read through this about a week ago. But why is battle maps put before combat rounds, which is put before terrain? Feels like it should have been combat rounds, battle maps, terrain. I don't know. But
or terrain, then battle maps.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
You understand the terrain. Now here's how you map it out and move through it with your pieces.
Yeah, it just seems like it's broken up weird. But let's find out. Maybe there's a reason for it. I don't know. When combat erupts on a map, wow. Yep, not even one sentence in. Hold on, let me drink. We're going to start over. Take 2. All right. Okay. You know what was wrong? I didn't have my thingy up.
There it is.
Now, when combat erupts, a map of the battlefield is useful. Battle maps have hexagonal grids. Hexes are always better than squares. Every time, every place. You cannot disagree with that, or you're just wrong. To regulate positions, movement, and shooting range. One hexagon is 10 meters across. Positions inside a hex are not regulated by the rules. What's up?
That's big. 10 meters for each hex. That's big for a close-up battle map.
Yeah, well, you can have more than one person in a hex, though.
Sure.
It isn't like one of those where it's like, oh, you're blocked by the illusory hex terrain. So it makes sense for the purposes of having firearms that actually shoot with a bit of range to them. Otherwise, your map would be so big on the table that. Anyway, except for barriers, which we'll talk about on page 59. A number of general and modular full-color battle maps that can be used in a variety of locations are included in the box set. And if Heathen Dog reminds me, I will show them at the end of this video because I don't have them prepared right now, but I can get them quickly. The modular battle maps can be combined in a multitude of different ways by the referee to quickly create unique battlefields. And you know what? If you've got a nice little, Chessex map that you can draw on, you can make your own. It's great. The box set also contains a few larger specific battle maps for the scenario locations described in the referee's manual, which we will not be covering in this series. Finally, on the Free League website, you'll find blank hexagonal maps that you can print and then use to quickly sketch up the terrain for random encounters. Again, I've got a nice vinyl one that I've used for Battletech for like 30 years. I can just use my vis-a-vis marker and just go with that. But hey, whatever works for you, have fun. I hate saying this about a role-playing game, but I will say that this is one of the few times that I would say battle maps are good. You're going to want them.
You haven't convinced me yet, but we haven't gotten there yet, so here we go.
Combat tokens. Tokens are used to represent the fighters taking part in combat. This box set contains a large number of tokens to represent individual fighters, vehicles, and a variety of combat effects such as cover, smoke, fire, and suppression. Tokens for individuals show the person standing on one side and prone on the other side. For vehicle tokens, you need to keep track of facing. No, I'm not going to grab them now. That's another thing I can show you at the end of the There's just little what do they call those things? Not pucks. I don't know. They're little round circles that you just put on the map board. As a general rule, NPCs follow the same rules as PCs during combat unless otherwise stated. However, in order to reduce bookkeeping for the referee and to avoid slowing combat down, a number of simplified rules for NPCs are included in this chapter. They're all marked like this. I will read some, I will skip others. The referee is never obliged to use simplified rules for key NPCs. It's often worthwhile to use the full rules, just like for PCs. This is one of those areas where I have to say, know your game, know your audience, know what you're doing. Heathen Dog, if I said that we're going to be playing it's a role-playing game, but it's a tactical war game in terms of combat. Like, we're not just going to be sitting there theater of the mind all the time. Would you have an issue with the fact that there are rules to the game that are going to be action 1, move here, count your hexes and range, yada yada? It's basically the wargamey aspects of it. Would that be an issue?
For me, but I'm against, grid combat with pogs or miniatures.
That's true.
Yeah, gaming with ADHD said so right here.
Okay, yeah,
but that's just me. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it would give me pause.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're not a war gamer like me. I come from BattleTech and so forth, and BattleTech is not
at all.
Yeah, so that's the thing. But if I were to say, hey, this game is like half war game, half role playing game, it would at least be understandable that you're going to be rolling initiative, probably going to have to move stuff around a map a little bit to get positioning. Yeah. So that's why I don't understand why this was, this whole idea of slowing combat down.
It's going to be generally slower than a normal role-playing game. That's what it's going to do. But I like the idea that for the jabroni type NPCs, there's simplified rules to speed up their stuff. And sure, you can pick and choose for bosses and lieutenants to use the same simplified rules or PC rules, depending on the situation or whatnot.
I'm generally a pure theater of the mind player. Look at Bear's game that he's running for us that was played in fantasy, now is moving to whatever system he's moving to. We don't ever pull out maps. We do everything theater of the mind. I love it. That's my preferred way of playing. But if somebody said that this includes tactical wargame elements, I would just understand, okay, the map's coming out. We're now going to do the hex facings and so forth. I'm stressing this right now because when I've talked to certain people about the game, they're either like, well, combat sounds like a slog. Do you play war games? Well, not in my role-playing games. Well, this is literally a hybrid. It's almost like going back to OD&D with chainmail and white box. It's still a war game in there. This has got a war game in here. All right, but let's move on. I won't belabor the point too much. Now, for Heathen Dog, he's probably like, I don't want a map. So let's find out what it says here. Although using battle maps is recommended, you can choose not to use them for certain fights and let them play out only in the theater of the mind. By the way, good job. So many times people screw this up. Periods, punctuation goes inside the quote, folks. So good job, Free League, and you're not even an American. So, in particular, this is a good solution in close quarter fights between a small number of fighters in the same hex. So that's what we were talking about before. You can be in the same hex. So that 10-meter size isn't such a big deal. Such as a bar brawl. It can also be useful for exchanges at very long range, 500 meters or more. Okay, it doesn't say yet how to do things without maps. It will later.
But I understand that there's going to be a lot of maps that are not 50 hexes across, so you can do 500 meters or more. And use the battle map.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, I was looking for a key phrase in here that you're going to love. So I'll wait till it pops up in here because there's going to be a key phrase about not using maps at some point here. And you're going to be like, there you go. That's right.
All right.
Maps without hexes. What is wrong with you? I don't even want to read this now. Fine, I will. If you prefer using maps without hexes, measuring distances in meters and marking exact positions of fighters and vehicles, that works too. Okay, so this is like sandbox. I thought I was going to go to squares. Oof, thank God. So this is like sandbox play. Got it. It will require a little more work on the part of the referee, however. Simply multiply the distance in hexes by 10 to get meters. Any distance of 5 meters or less is considered in the same hex for the purposes of the rules. 5 to 15 meters is 1 hex distance, 15 to 25 meters, 2 hexes, etc. Just for the purposes of the rules.
Yeah, that sounds like more work than using a hex map. It's like you're using an invisible hex map and rulers now. Yay.
Well, I played a lot of BattleTech like this, where it is very similar to this. It becomes second nature to you. A lot of times we use strings or flexible rulers just to get to the point. So again, it's a war game. That's It's just how war games are generally played, but it's giving you options. And yes, there is a pure theater of the mind option at some point in here. I know I've read it, so we'll end up talking about that. All right, so now we got the generics out of the way of what a battle map is for and what the size is. Now let's start talking about the rounds and initiative, how long things are, what you can do during those times, etc. Combat is played out in rounds, each roughly 5 to 10 seconds long. When a combat begins, the first step is to determine who has the initiative. Do this before anyone rolls dice for an action. Now, it says drawing initiative here. This is another thing. I'm starting to agree with, what's his channel name now? Adventures with Dice. He hates this book. He says it's one of the worst laid out books ever. I don't know if it fits that description, but I'm starting to understand some of his consternation. Before drawing initiative, now, Heathen Dog, I might need you to go back to your D&D days. Okay. What may happen before everybody draws initiative?
Ambush and surprise.
Thank you. The rules for ambush and surprise should be here, not later. Things should be in the natural order that they happen. Now, the rules are fine. It's just the location of them is dumb, because this is where I look for them. Like, oh, crap. We'll get to those in a moment. Drawing initiative. Grab the 10 initiative cards included in the box set. And they actually say initiative on the back. Isn't that nice? Or roll a d10. If you don't have access to the custom card deck, any normal deck of cards works fine if you simply remove the face cards and substitute the aces for ones. Each player taking part in the conflict, either voluntarily or involuntarily, draws a card, and the referee draws one card for each NPC or group. That's the simplified manner. This is called drawing the initiative. The number on the card determines the order in which you act in the conflict. Participants act in order from lowest to highest. That makes life simple for everybody. All right, 1, 2, oh, 2, go, you know. I know some people who shouldn't higher be better.
Oh, first, second, third, fourth. Yeah, it's easy.
Exactly. Place your initiative card by your character sheet so everyone can see in which order you all act. There's an optional rule for that, by the way. The referee places his initiative card in front of him. When all the participants in the combat have acted once, the round is over and a new round begins. The round order remains the same throughout the whole conflict. Drawing initiative is only done once at the start of the first round. There will be an alternate rule about that later that I love.
Well, you like to roll every round.
Yes, I believe that combat is a scrum and you should be rolling every round. That's it. It's chaotic how people react to things. That's just, again, personal opinion. Your mileage may vary on that. I do prefer rolling initiative every round. Okay, surprise. Finally, hey, if you initiate combat with an attack that the referee deems fully surprising, you automatically get the number 1 initiative card in the first round. Notice it doesn't say roll or anything there, right? It says if the referee deems fully surprising. So Heathen Dog came around the corner. I wasn't expecting him, but he was perceptive. He was looking. The game master or referee says, Heathen Dog, you get the 1. That means we now draw initiative, but there's no 1 left in the deck. Sure. So he automatically, no matter, even if I draw 2, guess what still goes before 2?
1.
So, yeah. All other combatants, including others on your side, draw initiative normally. Also see ambushes, page 60.
Yeah, hopefully ambushes happen pre-initiative, because that's one thing that I noticed just now that is a definite departure from a lot of role-playing games. Surprise is pre-initiative, which means it happens and then everyone rolls or draws initiative again.
No,
so it's
that's not the way it works.
For the surpriser to go twice before anyone else goes. But here, it is not. I hope that's different for ambush. So let's find out.
No, it's not going to be different for ambush.
Oh,
it's going to be the same thing. Spoiler alert! But there is a caveat to the rule with it. So let's talk about hidden initiative. I do not suggest this as much as I do like it.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I don't suggest it, though I love the rule. An alternative rule to creating more uncertainty and a stronger fog of war, which is something I fully embrace and believe in, or in a stronger fog of war experience, you can keep initiative cards secret. The referee then calls out initiative numbers starting at 1, and each fighter shows his card and performs his action once his number comes up. In this rules variant, the initiative must be drawn again at the start of each round. This is my favorite. I love it.
I do like this. I was actually thinking about this. I said, why does the referee have to show his initiative card? I understand the players would want to show their own amongst themselves, so they can get in their heads like who's first, who's second. Okay, that means I'm going to do this. That means he's going to do that. Not overt table talk, but okay, if these two guys are going first, then I have time to do this, this, and this, and they're going to be busy with these two guys, and I might pull this off. But the referee, I would keep mine secret. It's not like I can cheat. I got a card. I show it, right? I can't fudge this roll because I didn't roll it. But
I think it comes down to the wargaming elements, and in a typical wargame, everybody knows everybody's initiative. Conceptually, I agree with you and understand what you're saying. I might be wrong about this, but that's just my impression of it is like, at this point, we're playing it like a war game. Everybody show your hands, so to speak. Does that make sense?
It does. Now, the last part of this, I really don't like. Initiative must be drawn again at the start of each round. That's stupid. If you do that, there's no reason to keep it secret. It's going to be freaking different every time. But in the first round, when everyone is just starting combat, you're not going to know all of the participants until they participate, and everyone shows their initiative by the end of the round. Now people who have experienced that first round of combat have an idea of what the next round's going to be like, and that makes sense to me.
Yeah, but it doesn't for the purpose of combat being crazy. And I understand for simplification of, no, I don't want to use it because simplification sounds like you're insulting somebody in this case. For ease, for facilitation of rules, I agree with what you're saying. But for the purposes, like I said, I'm a full believer that combat, there's many times I've been out there, not with real bullets flying over my head, but enough combat training out there where I could hopefully survive an hour. Is that combat is freaking crazy, and nothing works when you think it's going to work. That whole idea of the best laid plans of mice and men, or never survives contact with the enemy, first contact with the enemy, all 100% true. And I think that this drives into it. With all of that said, I love the rule. I would want to use this rule. I don't think you should. I think you should play the game the base way, because I don't think you got to remember, this game is also half role-playing game. Well, I'd be totally cool with this. I think you are now inviting some chaos that you don't necessarily need at the table, number one. And number two, you're honestly going to hurt a couple of options that characters have, like swapping initiative. We've covered other Free League games, so you know about swapping initiative, but viewers out there might not. Things like that give players other options out there. It definitely shows the chaos that I believe in, but I just ultimately would say, maybe after your experience with the game, you're kind of bored with the combat or something, you want to spice it up a little bit, do this, but I wouldn't say start with this. That's just my opinion, as much as I love it. I hope that makes... Oh, there it is, exchanging initiative. It's the next thing we'll read. During a fight, you can exchange your initiative card, and thus your initiative, with another willing player, character, or NPC. Notice the word willing, whose turn has not yet come up in the current round. This must be...
hang on. A willing NPC. Mm-hmm. Who controls the actions of an NPC?
Referee.
Okay. What if the referee just says no? He doesn't want to.
Well, then you don't do it.
That's
has to be
now. Me saying this is a little out of character because player agency is bullcrap. But if it's his NPC, I still can say no, and he doesn't get to do crap about it. That sounds bad.
Conceptually, this comes down to, let's say you have a plan laid out. All right, I need you to kick in the door, and then I need you three to run in, and you stand back and shoot. Okay, whatever, or cover. Whatever field of fire that is, right? And you're the one that's supposed to be covering the field of fire, and you get the 1. Well, the door's not open yet. I can't do my job yet. So, hey, Heathen Dog, I'm on a 1. I'll trade you the 1 for the 8 so that you can, kick open the door. That's the purpose of this. At least that's the way I see it. Now,
no, I get it. But The players should control their own NPC party members or servants or followers or whatever.
If it was a plan that was previously determined and the referee playing that NPC was all on board, that's right, this is our plan, I think I wouldn't write then and there, but if it happened more than once that the referee's like, nope, not switch initiative, ha ha ha, screwed your plan over. Let's say you didn't make a coolness under fire roll, you didn't do anything, you're just like, no. I might let that happen once and only complain. The second time that happened, I'd probably just leave the table. Now, if it's completely random, like, oh, hey, Mr. NPC, want to trade initiative with me so I can shoot first? Hell no. That makes sense to me. So I can see both sides of that, but I just think it'd be a dick referee if you guys had developed this plan.
Yeah.
All right. So where are we here? Turn not come yet. This must be declared on your turn before you perform any actions. You and the other player character must be able to speak to each other. Go, go, go! Even if only by radio to exchange initiatives. Reactive actions that occur out of turn, such as blocking and overwatch fire, are not affected by exchanging initiative, and we will talk about those in, I think, 2 weeks. Your spent actions still count as spent, even if you get a new initiative number. So if you've reacted to something and you had to spend an action on that, getting a new initiative number doesn't all of a sudden make it like, I can act now. No, you've already used your stuff up for the round. When you use an action, it's for the entire round. Hidden initiative. If you use the alternative rule for hidden initiative, the other character is not allowed to say what initiative number he has before you make the switch. Want to switch?
No.
No.
That's just stupid. Unless you have a 10. Then literally anything else is going to have you go earlier. Or if you want to go last and you have a 1, then literally anything else is going to get you closer to last. Maybe then. But any other number.
This is an asinine paragraph, but it has to be in here because of the alternate rule, and right. Somebody's going to ask or try it.
Yeah.
So I don't blame Free League for putting it in here. It's just, I would probably say, look, if we're going to use the hidden initiative rules, we're not changing initiatives. We're not swapping. You're going to keep what you get, and we're going to go, because that's the chaos of combat. Your turn. All right. The point in the initiative order at which you act is called your turn. The phrase, your next turn, means the next upcoming point in the initiative order at which you normally act. Whether that happens to be in the current round or the next round, if your turn in the current round is already passed. The phrase your previous turn means your latest previous point in the initiative order, whether it was in the current round or the previous round. This is an amazing paragraph. This is very clear. It tells you what it is, and there's no way you can make arguments over some of the stuff that I see happening with like Palladium, right? All right, so we don't need the example. You can read the example on your own. Slow and fast actions. Again, if you've been with us for various Free League games, you should already understand this concept, but if this is the first time watching it, well, I will read it for you right now. On your turn, you can perform 1 slow action and 1 fast action, or 2 fast actions. See the list of typical slow and fast actions on the next page, which we will look at in a little bit. All these actions are explained in detail later in the chapter. Free actions, dropping to the ground or shouting a few words, are called free actions. They don't count towards your 2 actions for the round. You can fire a weapon and scream at Heathen Dog for a shell casing dropping down the front of your shirt at the same time. But you can only do them on your own turn. So I can only yell at him when it is my initiative order. Let me read the exception just in case somebody wants to point that out, because they always do. Except when forced to go prone by a failed coolness under fire roll. Describe your actions. When it's your turn to act, simply state which actions you wish to perform and roll dice if needed to see if you are successful. This breaks my general rule of don't mention actions by name, but I remind myself at this point, you're playing the tabletop wargaming portion of it, and the specificity of the rules becomes very important. Some actions like blocking and overwatch fire will give your opponent the opportunity to perform a reactive action, which breaks the turn order. I mean, the whole point of doing overwatch is when his head pops up, I shoot. Well, guess what? He popped up his head on the 1. You have to wait till a 10 on initiative. What? No. Overwatch breaks that rule. It allows you to act. But again, we'll get that sometime in the future. Helping others. If you wish to help another player, character, or NPC perform an action, it costs you 1 action of the same kind, slow or fast. So if Heathen Dog is trying to lift a heavy boulder, which is a slow action, I have to use a slow action to help him. Sure. You must state you are trying to help someone before any dice are rolled. Helping others also occurs out of turn. It breaks the initiative order in the round. You can read more about helping in Chapter 3, which we've already covered.
Okay. There's a lot of breaking initiative here.
Yeah, but so if you notice that all of the breaking initiative, okay, somebody's going to argue that Overwatch isn't, but is either preparation or out of combat. So help, because I can't help you fire a gun. Like, do you want me to pull the trigger with you? Is it going to be like we're both driving the same car? Hey, baby, I'll help you fire this gun. No, you're not doing. You could argue the spotter for the sniper. I get, but generally speaking, the point is it isn't affecting direct combat most of the time, with the caveat of blocking and Overwatch. Everything else is like, hey, we need to get this door off of here, and I can't lift it by myself. Well, I'll come up and help him. No.
Okay.
Mark your actions. I'm not going to read this. It basically just says turn your card 90 degrees one way, 90 degrees the other way. The couple of games that I saw on, I don't remember them doing that. They just said, hey, my actions are done, move on. It's just a way of showing, hey, I haven't moved. I have moved. Fast action. Now I've moved. Now I've moved all my actions. You know, I think it actually says it on here. Yeah, both actions used. Slow action used, fast action used, no action used. So if you want to do that, I probably wouldn't even pay attention to it. But okay, so slow actions. What are some slow actions, and what skills do you have to roll with them? Hopefully you can see that. If not, well, that's the best I can do right there. So you want to get an item for the backpack? Well, make a mobility roll. Why do I have to make a roll? Because you're trying to do it within a combat round. If you're just grabbing an item and don't mind that it might take a minute, I forget what it is. I think we read it last stream. Then don't worry about it. You'll grab the item. But if you're looking for a particular item in a short amount of time while bullets are flying over your head, you're going to make a mobility roll. Let's just clear a jam. That seems like a good one. It's prerequisite. You have to have a jam fire. I love somebody's. What's the prerequisite to clearing a jam? Well, you actually have a jammed firearm. But I get it. And you use your ranged combat ability to do that. If you make your roll, it is a slow action, but you clear it. And enter and exit a vehicle. You don't actually have to have a skill roll to get inside a vehicle. Isn't that good?
Yeah, it's nice.
But you do have to have a vehicle.
Fair enough.
So now, what are some fast actions? Let's go from partial. We've already talked about this one in a previous video, but go from full to partial cover. Basically, it's taking your head, peeking out, and then coming back. Now, what would it be, Heathen Dog? We haven't talked about this directly, but I know you can do math. I want to peek out. I want to shoot, and then I want to fall back.
Well, that sounds like a slow and fast action. So you probably won't be able to do that second fast action of pulling back.
Returning to cover is a free action.
Oh, it is?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
You know what? Hold on. Let me not say that definitively. I thought I remember reading last week, because we already covered it. I could have sworn that going from partial back to full was a free action. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me on that. But I could have sworn that going one way is a fast action, and going back the other way was free.
Okay.
The idea is that you're not just sticking your head out there for a full 5 seconds. The idea is that you're sticking out, pop, pop, pop. And since that fast action can affect your ability to aim, you don't get to do some other actions that might assist your aim with that. You're just reaching out, aiming, shooting, and coming back in. That's my take of it. If you want to shove somebody, you don't even have to have a free record. There doesn't even have to be a person in front of you.
You can shove whatever you want.
Shove the air. And it's a close combat roll. Let's see. Prepare a bow. So that's just pulling back the drawstring. So that's
it's not getting a arrow from your quiver and loading it and pulling it back. It's just pulling it back, because prepare a bow could mean all of those things, or one of them, or none of them.
I think you're being way too pedantic about that. You're probably right. when it comes to that. I guess we can read that later. And I say that because that's getting way too nuanced.
Well, no, I understand, but there's a
game.
lot of games that have rules that are different for I have my bow in my hand or I have an arrow notched already. They have different rules for that.
No, I get you. No, my assumption is you're right. Yeah, grabbing it, doing, that's the fast action.
Legolas makes it look easy, but it's not that easy. Right?
Yeah, I haven't fired a bow since I was a child. I actually took some archery classes when I was a child, and yeah, I wasn't Legolas. So I could aim, but I wasn't Legolas. But again, and just so folks out there, I'm not yelling at Heathen Dog, oh my God, stop worrying about the rules. But you have to understand that the Free League games tend not to go into such detail. And if this one does, my guess is that, yes, that's all in one there. Getting the arrow, knocking the arrow, and pulling the drawstring back. Driving is a fast action. Now you might be like, why is that even why is that an action at all? Because you can sometimes do things while you're driving. You can drive and shoot.
Yeah.
Or it's just not going to be accurate.
Or when you drive, you can affect everyone else's actions depending on what you do. So it should cost something.
Chat. Anywho, let's free actions. Dropping to the ground, drop a held item, go from partial to full cover.
Partial to full cover. Yep. Okay.
I knew I'd read it. So, and again, remember the concept. The concept for this is to allow you to peek your head out, shoot. So how do you stop the guy from peeking his head out?
You have to hold your action and wait until he pokes his head out before he shoots.
Yeah, Overwatch. That's the term for this game. It's Overwatch. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, let's terrain and hexes. Yep.
No. In doing so, you are out of cover the entire time until you get to pull the trigger.
Well, you're in partial cover.
Yeah, your head's out.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So you cannot benefit from full cover while you're on Overwatch waiting for someone else to pop out of full cover. So
in the next video, we're going to cover terrain and hexes. However, I am going to go fast forward ahead here to there's your ambush. We'll talk about that soon. Social conflict, because there's really no other place that I could talk about this. So let's knock it out now. Again, if you've watched us for any of the other Free League games, you already know how this is going to work. But Max, stop saying that because I only watched for Twilight 2000. Well, guess what? Here we are for you right now. Sometimes you can make things go your way without resorting to violence. Look at Heathen Dog's character. He's got like 2d12 dice and all this nonsense, right? Instead, you trick or convince your opponents without drawing your weapon. This might even be possible in the midst of combat. For nonviolent conflicts, use the persuasion skill. Before you roll, you must state the stakes of the roll. By the way, I really, really, really like how Free League does this. I'm sure I've said this in every one of the videos. I like it because give me the intent, make your roll. You don't have to be a thespian. You don't have to be highly charismatic in real life. What's the intent? Make your roll. I prefer people to role play it out as best they can. This allows anybody to do it. It's just, what is your intent? Saying, give me your stuff. What's the intent?
This actually reminds me of something that happened in a movie. Okay. It's not a great movie, but it was funny. It was called Mr. Right. And there was a guy, he was like a highest level assassin in the world, but now he only kills people that try and hire him because murder's wrong. He's insane. This is his new thing. But he was fighting like 6 or 7 guys, right? And he was under full cover, but he was pinned down. He poked out, saw one guy he could hit, poke back in, they all shot him, blah, blah, blah. And then he pokes out, shoots the guy in the head, he dies, pokes back into cover, and then he says, hey, you see what happened to your friend just there? Yeah. Does he have a wife? Does he have kids? A cat? Maybe all of them? Well, they're never going to see him again. Do you want to be like your friend? I'm going to give you a chance to walk away. If you don't, I'm going to make you like your friend. Half of them run away. So that's a social conflict with an example.
No,
with a combat example.
Hold on to that example. Seriously.
Okay.
So Heathen Dog, you're playing the game. Instead of role playing it out like that, which again, I know for you and me, that would be our preference. You're a bad role player, so you just want to describe what is the intent. What you want to have social conflict right now to get out of this, so you don't have to waste any more bullet. How would you describe this as you must state the stakes of your role, what you want to achieve? So, what is it you want to achieve?
Okay, I want to use the persuasion skill to persuade my enemies to run away.
Okay. See, what you ask of your opponent must be within reason. Well, guess what? Round 1, it's not within reason because you haven't killed that guy yet. So they just ignore you and, do the shooting and you're like, okay, pop, and you kill that guy. Now, since the environment has changed,
They all saw Billy Bob, take a bullet to the face.
Remember, you can't just fail a roll and try again in Free League without something meaningful change. Well, he just got smashed in the face and, he's bleeding out there. Then Heathen Dog, whether he says what he says or not, says, no, okay, now that I killed the guy, you do it.
Yeah. Okay, so I killed Billy Bob. His 5 friends saw Billy Bob die. I'm going to use my persuasion skill to persuade them now to run away or end up like Billy Bob.
Okay. Now so let's see what the rest of this says about that. What you ask of your opponent must be within reason. Well, guess what? You know what? He just made that option reasonable. Okay?
Yeah. It's on the table now.
Yeah. No NPC will agree to do anything you want, or no NPC will agree to do anything you want or act directly against his own interest, no matter how good your role is. Basically, you're not going to convince somebody to give up his firstborn child or some crap like that unless there's a real reason for it. You cannot ask for things that are unreasonable just by making a die roll. Sorry, right. D&D, this isn't you. The referee has the final say on what's possible to achieve given the situation.
Okay. It is possible to achieve me murdering all of them, just like Billy Bob. Mm-hmm. And it is in their best interest to not die. Mm-hmm. So this roll, by the rules here, should be applicable.
Right. Now, it would all depend on what's behind them. If you're talking a Soviet soldier in World War II who is going to get shot if he runs backward or shot if he runs forward, probably not going to be a good roll. Or it's not a possible roll. Most people, yes, there should be a roll now. So let's see, how do we resolve this? When you try to convince, bluff, or charm someone, make an opposed roll for persuasion against your opponent. It only counts as a slow action for you. And by you, the person making the claim, the person trying to do the persuading, not the person trying to resist the persuasion.
Right.
If you successfully persuade your opponent, you sway him somehow and reach the stated goal of the roll. But it's not over yet. You are going to get what you want. If you roll multiple successes, multiple successes more than your opponent, I don't like the way that reads. You might even gain some further bonus if the referee finds it appropriate. And hopefully they give the examples here. If not, I'll tell you what they do in the other books. Okay, here we go. This is, even if you succeed your persuasion roll, your opponent is entitled to ask for something in return if the referee deems it reasonable. This is where you have to have trust in your referee. Okay, we'll back away, but give us $1 million. Nobody has no... Right, exactly. Don't be a dick game master, referee, sorry. Don't be a dick referee. Okay, we'll leave, but... I don't know what would be something.
No, I understand what you're saying. We'll leave, but later on, I want something from you. That is not applicable to my specific example. The benefit you're getting by leaving is not being dead.
Well, so I can see him saying something
for anything. I'm just going to kill them.
If it's up to you to accept, well, I mean, you could just choose not to accept the agreement, and then you go try to kill them and hope you win. Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah,
but I would also say that if a player that continually does that tries to get his way without giving up something, even if it's just time and energy. Look, we'll back away, but you don't move. If we see you move, we're shooting. And you decide to play tough guy with that role, well, you're going to get shot.
Or if the fight is going to continue as it was.
Right. Yeah. So the point is you can give up. There's always something reasonable that can be requested, but it works both ways. Remember, players can't ask for something unreasonable. Referee also shouldn't be asking for something unreasonable. Give us 5 minutes and we'll leave. You know, as long as that 5 minutes isn't like the kid you're trying to protect, you know. Okay, now negotiating position. This is something that's just true for all the Free League games. So let's look through this. Your chance of manipulating someone successfully are affected by your negotiating position. Each of the following factors modifies your roll by +1. Remember, 2d12 is the maximum no matter what. Mm-hmm. You have more people on your side. Well, guess what you didn't have in your case?
Yeah, they had more people, so they get a +1. What
you ask for doesn't cost your opponent anything. Maybe they're there on their own. I mean, they could be there on their own volition. They're like, you know what? We already got our money. We're not here. We're not going to get shot if we let you live. We're just doing it because we wanted you the beer in your backpack. You know what? Doesn't cost me anything. So you could get another +1. Your opponent has suffered damage or stress. Well, probably
Billy Bob died in front of him. So yeah, it's stress.
That would be it could be. Remember, coolness under fire roll.
Sure. Yeah. Fine.
Yeah.
Well, not all of them can make that roll.
Fair, right? Your opponent is sick. Now, that's kind of a new one, but it's relevant to a post-apocalyptic game.
Now, nothing here says injured. Like, if your opponent is already injured and...
your opponent has suffered damage.
Oh, suffered damage or stress. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. You're right. Sick. Okay, I would put sick and damage in the same thing, but all right, whatever.
Well, this is a condition that we'll get to in like 3 or 4 weeks. Your opponent is held. So imagine, let's say you have no damage, but you've got gynosyphilades. You're just not feeling well. You're not thinking cognitively.
Sure.
Your opponent is held captive by you. So you're gonna do what we say. I mean, you're stuck in this Iron Maiden here that we made for you. No, I'm not.
My example doesn't make sense with that one, but okay.
Right. No, we're just going through the list here. You've helped your opponent previously. You know what? You showed you're a good guy once. We're even now. You present your case very well determined by the referee. Now, this is where a good role player comes into play.
Yeah, that's the whole talking about Billy Bob's family and cat. They're never going to see him again. That's so sad. Do you want to be like Billy Bob? Stuff like that. Then maybe I would invoke this one.
Now, there are 2 ways this can play out. Well, no, Max, it doesn't have to be a good role player. Right. You could just write a bulleted list of things that your character would express.
Which is fine.
And then you outrank your opponent. But it only applies if you're the same nationality. So you got Colonel Troutman there trying to talk Rambo down from the caves.
You get a +1.
You get a +1. All right. Now, what would give Heathen Dog a -1? Well, the opponent has more people on its side.
Fair enough.
You asked for something valuable or dangerous. Well, are you valuable or dangerous? That's actually situation dependent. I'd say no. I mean,
if they're paid to kill me and they don't get paid until I'm dead, then I'm valuable. And I'm asking them to walk away.
Or if they truly believe, this isn't the scapegoat thing that a lot of players like to do. Well, if you don't kill him, no, just come back and get you. No. But if you know that Heathen Dog is paid assassin, very good at his job, and you know that someday this could come back to haunt you, I could see that. Or if he's the leader of a evil faction or something like that. Like, no, this dude has runs a cult that is trying to, skin babies for blood so they can find the potion of youth, crap like that. No, your opponent has nothing to gain by helping you. Like, why the hell would we help you? We want the beer in your backpack, dude. Just give us the beer in your backpack and we'll let you go.
Not die like Billy Bob, but okay.
You are held captive by your opponent. Yeah, you're not in a really great bargaining position.
If you're holding bargaining position, I get that. Yeah.
Having trouble understanding each other. He's speaking Russian. You're not. You give me, comrade. What? My friend? I don't have any. You are not in the same hex more than 5 meters apart. This instills doubt. I could get away. I don't have to give him anything. I could hide. I could do this. You're not within reach of just him grabbing you and slicing your neck or punching you or shooting you with a pistol, whatever.
Well, okay.
Again, this might not be applicable to you.
I get it. Go to the next one.
Your opponent outranks you.
Again, only applies if you're in the same military.
Sorry,
Okay,
son.
so in my example,
yes.
okay, go back to the first one,
Okay.
to the first list.
Yeah, this is the first one.
Okay, so your chance of manipulating someone. You have more people on your side. No, what you asked for doesn't cost your opponent anything. I'm saying they're paid to kill me, so it does. So can't do that. Opponent suffered damage
before you move on, because there's a third option here. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. It doesn't have to be an automatic +1 or -1. It could be neutral. You know what?
Yeah.
It doesn't cost them anything, but they also
Don't
could.
get anything.
Yeah. So I mean, you could have a neutral modifier there as well.
I understand. So that doesn't count. That doesn't count. Your opponent suffered damage or stress. Billy Bob died.
Yep.
Your opponent is sick. No. Your opponent is held captive. No. You have helped your opponent in this instance. No. You present your case very well. I killed Billy Bob and gave a story. I'm going to give me a 1 for that. You are your opponent. No. Okay. Go to the next list. This is what gives me minuses for my persuasion. Your opponent has more people. Yes.
Yep.
You ask for something valuable. Yes.
Really?
Because again, this is on the premise that they're paid to kill me. So walking
enough.
away takes away that money. You are held captive by no. You are having trouble understanding each other. No, you're not in the same hex. I'm going to say we are, just because this is a handgun fight. So I'm going to say we are. Your opponent outranks you. No. So that equals out. And we've learned from earlier episodes that minuses and pluses cancel each other out.
Yep.
So I'm at straight persuasion. And with the character I made a couple weeks ago, my persuasion is A and my empathy is B. So it's a D12, D10. I got pretty good odds of making someone run away.
Go ahead, roll.
Okay. D10, D12. A 12 and a 10. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4 successes.
Okay. Hold on to that because you're trying to persuade a group.
Okay.
And those rules, when you want to persuade a whole group, you usually address the group's leader or spokesperson. Remember that your role is modified by -1 if your opponent has more people on his side.
Well,
if you reach an agreement with the leader, the rest of the group usually follows. It's a simplified. So instead of determining, now there's 2 ways you could handle this. You could handle this as in, you got 4 successes, 4 people ran away. Well, guess what? That was everybody because 5 people were fighting you. You killed 1. The other 4 run away. That is a method of handling it. If he had rolled 2 successes, well, 2 run, the other 2 stay, but they're kind of cautiously looking at each other. Something, let's move on to the next round. Or do it this way, the group. You know what? You talk to the leader. There's an obvious leader. He says, you know what? This ain't worth it for us. If we see you again, you're a dead man. Walk away. Some nonsense like that. And they walk away. Either way, he succeeded.
Yep.
And then something that drives me nuts, but has to be said. Typically, persuasion is only used against NPCs, not PCs. When NPCs or other PCs try to talk you into something, it's up to you how you react. You know what? I'll just say it like this. When it comes to PC, I 100% agree. I don't like PCs making rolls. Heathen Dog was in my Earthdawn game when I allowed Taunt to get out of hand. Because it was a magical ability. It's kind of hard to say no to a magical ability that brain foogles you, right? But when PCs were trying to persuade another PC, I have a little concern with the NPCs not being able to do this. I get it. I don't know if I like it.
Yeah. You know what? They already have a built-in mitigation measure with if you succeed in a persuasion, the persuaded party can still ask you for a reasonable concession. So if the NPC wants to persuade a PC, they can win their role and persuade the PC, but the PC still can ask for a reasonable concession. Otherwise, that victory is nullified. I think that's better.
Yeah.
You already have a mechanic in the game for that, so why not use it instead of ignoring it in certain situations?
Yeah, one of the things that reading this reminded me of that we didn't do up here is it is an opposed roll. So I should have rolled on my side as well. I don't have a character. So I could have nullified 1 or 2 of your successes.
Well, maybe, but let's just say these are average hitmen NPCs. They have C and C. Persuasion of C and empathy of C.
So
they
8 and 8.
get 8 and 8. Yeah.
So I got a 4 and a 2. So no successes.
I still got 4 successes, and 4 people or everyone runs away, depending on if I was talking to the leader specifically.
Right.
Yeah.
So, anywho, we're gonna move on here. Just this is what the rule is in the book. I like it conceptually because I don't like it when player characters use their skills. I got a higher persuasion than you, so I'm just gonna make you do whatever I want. And I hate the word agency, but takes away the player's control of the character. At the same time, when it comes to NPCs, I don't know. I kind of, sometimes like that, you are talking to a colonel. It's a colonel you respect. You're only a lieutenant. You want to make it through the ranks. Even in a post-apocalyptic world, the colonel just ordered you to do something, and you're like, screw you, sir. Oh, wait, what? I just... One could argue that that's bad role playing, but whatever. I don't want to harp on this one sentence though.
It's a good way to get on top of a firing squad, or I'm sorry, on the wrong side of a firing squad. So probably not a great idea to do that to your colonel, but whatever.
All right, last one here. Interrogation. When you interrogate a prisoner to gain information, roll against his stamina instead of persuasion. You get a +1 modifier for your opponent being held captive. Sure. As opposed to normal persuasion, interrogation can be used against PCs, actually forcing you to disclose information no matter if you as the player want to or not.
Wow, this is where good cop, bad cop actually works in this game. You have the bad cop come in and beat him up a little bit, and he still doesn't answer. You have the good cop come in, give him a drink of water, give him some food, wipe his brow. Then ask him again. You get even more modifiers because you've given him something appropriate, something for his trouble. He's both been beaten and coddled and still held captive. So the second guy has an extra bonus to his roll.
Maybe. I get what you're saying. I think that's too strict of a reading.
Yeah.
But I do get what you're saying, and theoretically, I think that could work. But I also think that at least at first, somebody with any sense of wisdom is going to realize, that they're just doing good cop, bad cop. However, after time, especially,
kind of takes away the thought process sometimes,
Oh yeah. I mean, I never had to go through any of those enhanced interrogation training things. I didn't go to Sears school or anything like that. But no, I know that they can. They'll get to you.
No. I actually had myself waterboarded once just because I wanted to see what it felt like. It's not awesome. They say, "Oh, it feels like you're drowning, but you don't actually drown." No, it feels like you're drowning because it feels like you're actually drowning. I don't know what to tell you. Like I don't know what it's like to actually drown because then you have to die. So I don't know what that's like. But no one alive knows that. Well, most people alive don't know that. So this is the closest thing. You really want to give up your whatever they want you to give up after this. You really do.
I would like to think I'm stronger than that, but I also know that reality says I'm a human being and we all want to be tough guys. Probably not. I'd probably break. I'd probably break quickly. All right. What do we got for chat?
Okay. We have first making fun of you because no matter what, whether you like role-playing games, theater of the mind, or you like you like the tactical combat, or this one is both, you're going to get hit from another side. This one you get hit from all sides. You're a dirty Capellan, a dirty campaigner, and a dirty wargamer all in one by playing this game. So be prepared for that.
Okay. If I can be Capellan in the game, I'm in. I accept all of those.
And Ron says dropping prone behind cover is a free action. That's true, but when you drop prone, that's a free action, but getting back up to a non-prone state is not. So the whole thing, ducking back from partial to full cover is a free action, is very important because it allows you to do the same thing next turn. Pop out, shoot, pop back in. If you drop down to the ground behind cover, then you'd have to get up, pop out, and shoot, and get back in. And you can't do that. So if they didn't have returning from partial to full cover as a free action, then that wouldn't work at all. Well, it would work for the first round, but not the subsequent round.
that it? Just those two?
Yeah, that was it. That was the ones that were poignant.
Okay.
Or funny.
All right then. Well, that was actions. Was it actions, terrain? No, we're doing terrain and movement. That was actions, battle maps. That's what I was thinking about, and social conflict. Probably dove into social conflict a little deeper than we needed to, but I really like how it works in the Free League games. It's got a perfect balance to me of requiring role play, kind of that simulation side of it, and just here's some rules, roll the dice and go. It doesn't take forever. You don't have this long back and forth, 30 minutes of dialogue because somebody wants to, but hearken unto thee, for thou shalt give me thine soldiers for whatever nonsense they're doing. No, he has, or you get in those arguments. Heathen Dog has been around for these when you get arguments at certain tables, like, no, it's just fact that this is the way it is, blah, 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 not realizing that people act on emotion, not fact. So while you might think that you just gave the best speech ever, they're still not voting for you. It's just, you might think that you have just convinced everybody that the world is round, and no. however you want to look at it, just you have to understand that that's part of human nature. So no matter how smart you think you are, the person you're talking to might be smarter or so unintelligent that he's just not going to listen to what you have to say. So and that's where the die rolls come in. And the other thing I'd like to remind players, and this goes for everybody, you're not the smartest person at the table. There you go. So with that, look forward to talking to you next time when we talk about terrain and movement.